Thank you for tuning in to this audio commentary. This is Greg Williams, and I'll be joined by Tony Berg and Steve Jones. And we're going to be talking about the Perpendicular, a project that we did for the 72-hour film race presented by the San Marcos Cinema Club.
This was a 72-hour film challenge, and I've always wanted to do one of these, but I never had the gear, never had the team, what have you. I mean, I know part of the whole idea is to meet people you've never worked with before, but I had worked with Greg before on his other short film, and so he actually invited me to come be a part of it this year, and he said he already had other actors and other people involved. So he's pretty much very good at pre-production as well as production and post.
So basically we were given a concept, and we all met at Buzzmill on a Thursday night. The group consisted of Tony, Steve, and myself. Our friend Chris was there to help us out on the shoot days as well, and our friends Evie and Tess were there to kind of help get everything kicked off. And so when we met, we were given sci-fi. We had to include a piece of public art. We had to include the line of dialogue, El Rito Liberador del Agua, or the liberating right of water. And we had to have a scene that included a haircut.
You know, our prompt was science fiction, which was kind of fortunate. We all had a pretty good imagination, and we decided how we can get around any special effects or props, and just decided it would be a conversation about this alien or someone from another dimension, revealing to his barber, of all people, his plans to take over the San Marcos that exists in this dimension and how it compares to the San Marcos in the dimension where he's from.
So Steve kind of put together a concept called Agua Buena that was centered around the kind of healing powers of water, and had a sci-fi concept about different structures being built and how those structures could sort of serve as satellite points between dimensions, and, you know, a way to sort of in real time reflect on decisions of the past and how they amplify into the future and affect communities. So we reached out to Tony real early on in the process, just because I know Tony has acting chops. You know, the dude used to front a hip-hop group called Heroes and was one of the most charismatic on-stage personalities that I've ever seen. So I knew he probably had acting chops. That was verified when I reached out to him, and he was saying he was already taking improv and acting classes at the time and was actively seeking roles. So yeah, it all just kind of came together on that front.
My name is Tony Berg. So we've been friends for a long time, and I was on Facebook, and he had like a casting call out on there, and what he was looking for was a couple of different things, but one of the things he was looking for that caught my eye was he was looking for a male actor between the ages of 20 and 40, who could hypothetically improvise on camera. And the reason he was looking for that was because he didn't really have time to build a script, because what he was doing was a 72-hour film challenge or whatever, like from script to screen, turn it in, and you're done. And so I saw that notification, and I, at the time, just like sort of happened to be in some further adult education acting classes. First of all, I've always been an actor. I was born this way. But second of all, I also was sharpening my sword and looking for any opportunity to do so. And so his casting call, I was like, yo, I think I just commented directly on Facebook. I was like, yo, I'm a male. I'm between 20 and 40, and I will freestyle for you. And, you know, I know what it's like to be on set. I know that it sucks. And he pretty much hit me right back. He was like, okay, you're the guy. Perfect, because, I mean, 72-hour competition, it required like a quick response, and so it worked out.
Anthony got the idea right away, and he just really ran with it. So our conversation, if you can't tell, is pretty improvised. I mean, I guess we had a few beats that we wanted to hit, but for the most part, it was these visual gags, like his teleporting using the graffiti from Doped there. He was quite popular that spring and summer. Those tags were everywhere. So we thought that'd be a funny way to show how our character got around town, our dimensional traveler. And then, of course, when he arrives, he has to make sure that everything is still where he left it from before.
So Steve, since he really sort of had the concept in terms of story, ran with the ball on being the other actor so that he can kind of help pilot things. Tony could jump in on the improv front once he really grabbed hold of the concept, which he did pretty early on. He really even helped in terms of providing ideas that helped Steve bring a treatment to the table. So really my idea, or my role in the whole concept, just became the production guy, take all the ideas. How can we make these ideas concrete, execute them? How can we add a little bit of flair? How can we incorporate as much as we can in terms of the prompts, both directly and subtly?
The second act is actually shooting the fucking thing, which involved, this is where it gets complicated for me. Like, man, I came down there with a hangover. Greg was like, hey, call time is 9 a.m. or some shit. I was like, all right, cool, I'll be there. In my mind, I was like, yeah, that's no problem. I can be there, no problem. But I mean, I live in Austin, so it's like, oh, that means I got to leave by like 7:45 a.m. with a hangover. And so jumped down, hung out with the boys. We met at Buzzmill, or what used to be Buzzmill, and we sat there. We had a cup of coffee. We sort of rallied the troops and made a plan for the day, and it was an advantageous plan and an advantageous day. And nonetheless, we then moved into full-blown time to execute mode.
And yeah, we spent a lot of Friday just doing all that pre-production. Everybody throwing ideas back and forth via Messenger. Just kind of planning out Saturday. We decided we were going to have to do the lion's share of the shoot on Saturday. Met really early on that day and lined up with our friend Thomas to get access to his garage so that we could make our makeshift barbershop. And then we hit up the farmer's market early on, hit up Buzzmill, hit up a few different other locations in town just to try to get some variety and a sense of movement. The San Marcos River, we found some different levels of mural art and graffiti art so that we could incorporate different aspects of the culture.
The prompt was to use different locations around town, or that was one of the prompts that we were tasked with doing. And the site of the original church was where Tuttle Lumber now stands, but then Tuttle Lumber had been torn down at this point as well. Oh yeah, we loved this mural that has just got the moon setting over the ocean there on the side of the optical store. And we thought that'd be a nice outer space kind of theme. Even though he's not from outer space, he's from an alternate dimension, a different San Marcos. And that was the other thing too. It was kind of like a postcard or a love letter to the city. He was saying all kinds of wonderful things about San Marcos, including how great our water tasted. Oh, yeah.
I had to actually live the shit that I talked, which was, hey, I'm good at improvising. Hey, I'm good on set. I know what it's like. Yeah, well, you know what? You know what it's really like? You got to be out there with a hangover, getting a sunburn. That's what it's like to be an actor, okay? It's not fun, but there are tiny moments that we live for, and that is the moment that we can translate a feeling across something else, right? So like, how intangible is a feeling, and then how intangible also and you know, dynamic is whatever medium that you're using to translate it. And I think that we had some real moments in there where we did successfully translate some feelings across mediums, and that meant a lot to me, and I am, you know, really grateful for the experience.
You know, one of the things that really sells a film is having good props and good locations, set design, production design. And God bless Greg, he did a great job of making that garage look like a homemade barbershop. But of course, the main focus of the production was to get all these things on location. We didn't get anybody to sign any waivers. There wasn't any dialogue, so there was no audio to concern ourselves with. It was actually a great opportunity to play some of this cool music that Greg had picked out. So he did another great job. Was the music coordinator, or whatever that title is called. And so he set the soundtrack for this movie as well. So I don't know. I suppose if this was scripted, we could have gotten to our points a lot quicker, and I wouldn't have had to, you know, ramble on like I did and keep going over the same parts of his haircut over and over. You know, I obviously wasn't cutting his hair, but we had to maintain that premise. I wonder if I should probably just skip ahead. I'm watching this with the volume turned off. Oh, there's Tuttle Lumber there, which is now the view on the square. I guess some high-rise condo is on that location. But that's where the African-American church was that got burned down by the Klan. So we'd gotten the first part of the location right. Of course, you can't really tell because we didn't shoot it even wider than that, to show that that's where he was expecting his location to be. And when he got to this dimension, it wasn't there because of our histories diverging, what have you. So he talks about an alternate location for this force field, and it was going to be at the location of the new church where they relocated. And of course, we didn't do our history research well enough, and we went to the wrong church. But then we also had to include this landmark too. This is the intersection of South LBJ and East MLK. And so it also commemorates their historic meeting of LBJ and MLK. And I always joke that it looks like a bus stop, but it's actually a memorial or a monument to those two gentlemen at the intersection of those streets named after those two gentlemen. And so we joked about how we could use it as a teleportation device. So
from there, once we got what we needed with Anthony, and I didn't know he got a sunburn until I listened to his part of the commentary, so my bad, man. We didn't mean to expose you to the elements that deep. But yeah, Steve and I really jumped on it from there and just made sure that we hammered out what we wanted to in terms of a story from all the elements that we got. And yeah, since I had the editing equipment, I went in, did all the fine tuning. Met back up with Steve the next day, the Sunday, and we took a look at what we had and just gave each other some notes on how to cut it a little bit cleaner. And we got it turned in on time and ended up coming in second place, which was a pleasant surprise. We missed the mark on one of our prompts slightly. So, you know, we'll do better next time, if there is a next time.
we actually got quite a few laughs screening this in front of a live audience, which kind of surprised me. Okay, here it is. The First Baptist Church, NBC, was not the church that we were looking for. It has a historical marker for a different reason, but it wasn't the one that had gotten relocated after the Klan burned down the original one. And so we all know now that's also on Martin Luther King Drive, but just a few blocks west of Guadalupe. And this is actually on Bishop Street, or Mitchell Street. So we were off. We didn't hit one of our 5 prompts, and so we came in second place with this. But it wasn't about the contest. It was about being creative, especially under pressure of the time and lack of resources. Like I said, we did have other people helping behind the scenes, but it's basically just me and Anthony on camera, and it's mostly him. And then obviously the work was all Greg doing the shooting, the editing, selecting the soundtrack, even putting the sound effects of the clippers in here too, because I would never actually turn them on and try to cut hair in real life. So, and there's this another sight gag that he's wearing a tuxedo t-shirt, which he wasn't wearing when he came in. And so now he's all spiffed up and ready to take over this dimension. So again, it was a lot of fun. Had fun working with these guys. And I was really surprised we did as well as we did.
And I hope that Greg, I'm not kissing his ass or anything up in this shit, so don't get it fucking twisted. But I hope that Greg will always consider me in the future when he needs an actor, because I know that he will inevitably have other and larger film projects in his future. But it was good to work with the crew. I made some new friends, and we all had a good day, despite the sunburn and despite the hangover and despite the fact that we barely made it to the finish line. But yeah, it was good. All right, Tony Berg, peace out.
But the Perpendicular was a really pleasant experience. Had a lot of fun putting it together. Seemed like everybody that was involved did as well. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can get the San Marcos Dream Team back together for another run at it. Thank you for listening, and have a good day or evening.
The Doomsday Device.